It's Luke Howard Live! Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to Britain's brightest, best radio show. Hope everyone is well and is looking forward to another fantastic show today. It is Tuesday, the 16th of February, and yes, it's me, the one and the only Luke Howard. Second day into the week. Wow, hasn't it gone so fast? Now, here's what we got coming up today. We are going to be talking about stuff in the news. Of course we are. It is Luke Howard Live. So we're going to be talking about... I want to talk about Anne Robinson because she's going to be stepping on to Countdown. So, and Nick Hewitt is leaving, so we're going to be talking a little bit about that. And we're also going to be talking about Dancing on Ice. So from Countdown to Dancing on Ice, we're going to be talking about... It's going to be pausing after the disruptions from the COVID and injuries because apparently some people have been tested positive from that very programme. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that. And then we're also going to be talking about COVID in Scotland as well, which is certainly going to be confirming phrase to return to schools. Apparently they've already returned to school right this very minute. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that. And we are also going to be talking about what meals you could be cooking for tonight. Oh, wonder what we can cook for tonight. Well, we'll soon find out. In the show today. So make yourselves lunch. Enjoy Britain's brightest, best radio show. Oh, one more thing we are talking about today, of course. It is Pancake Day. So I've got some fantastic topics. We can't not talk about pancakes, can we? So we are going to be talking about pancakes and the best toppings ever. You can't truly just have them for a dessert. You can also have them for a meal as well, which sounds absolutely interesting. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And that's today's show. Okay, so we're going to kickstart then with talking about what's been in the news today, as we always do. But first, I must mention on how you can get in touch with Britain's brightest, best radio show today. You can email us. It's GaryJHoward68@hotmail.com. You can also have the other email, which is 345-457@student.hrc.ac.uk. And there's also Michael's email if you'd like to get in touch with him as well for Friday's show. That's 34477@student.hrc.ac.uk. And also MD Walker 2002 at iCloud.com. Just about got it right there. My producer's looking at me right now thinking, oh, thank God you got it right. God, I do usually get it right, but what I should do is write it down on a piece of paper so I know what it is, but I don't know what it is anyway. But so there's great ways to get in touch with the show as well. Okay, so let's talk about what's in the news then today now, as what we would usually do on the show. And I actually want to talk about schools returning, apparently, because apparently in Scotland it's been announced that schools are returning this very week, as I was told. Okay, so in Scotland then, because I did actually see this on the news this morning, because Nicola Sturgeon, she's to announce whether some pupils will have to return to Scottish classrooms from next week, not this week, I got it completely wrong, next week, the week of the 22nd of February, which is not today, but is on Monday next week, which is the 22nd of February. Now, this could also include children aged 4 to 7 and secondary school pupils required to carry out practical assignments, whatever that means. Don't ask me, I haven't got a clue about assignments, but I do know a little bit about this. But the First Minister said that she was very keen, apparently, to begin the phrase, a return of younger pupils to schools, apparently. But she also warned that it's going to be not to mark the start of a broader easing of the COVID-19 restrictions. It also developed Now, I only developed the nations that had the power to set their own corona rules, and, well, they have made similar decisions during the crisis. They have moved at very different speeds. Now, in our country, England, Boris Johnson is due to set another roadmap. He's going to set a roadmap on the 22nd of February, as I said on the show the other day. It's going to be next week, from the 22nd, which is Monday next week. And we're going to find out, woo, from next week, when everything's going to be easy. Oh, thank God, it's about that time already. It's that time already that we find out what's going on. But he also warned yesterday that people must be, of course, still follow the rules for now. But then, of course, we could all relax in a couple of weeks when he says. But primary schools in Wales, they begin to process of reopening, of course, next Monday. And in Northern Ireland, schools are going to be remained closed to most pupils until at least the week of the 8th of March. In Scotland, ministers are going to be examining the latest data and scientific advice this morning before their decision was to announce the MSPS in the afternoon. Opposition parties have all been called for a Scottish government to set out more detail about its approach to eventually easing restrictions and lifting lockdown as well. Most pupils have been learning remotely, of course, during this very year as part of Scotland's stay-at-home lockdown. A small number of children, including those whose parents have key workers such as can attend to school, and also the ones I think who have got a lot of trouble from home as well, could also attend to schools and colleges as well. I've got friends who are at college and school at this very time, so I do know people who are at school and college at this very moment, so I know who they are. I know exactly who they are, and the people who are listening today, friends of mine who are listening today, who know exactly who I mean. So, most school pupils have also been, of course, learning at the daily COVID-19 briefing. Yesterday, Nicola Sturgeon said she was very, very very keen to go ahead with plans for a phased return to the classroom. However, though, she said only between 5% 8% of any school's rule should also return as well. It had previously been indicated that children in P1 to P3 years and a limited number of secondary schools who need practical resources to complete qualifications should all return to school from next Monday, which is not very far. Next Monday is only free for about 6 days, I think, from today, about 6 days. But it also had previously been indicated that children, of course, there should also have that. And it's also ministers who also take a final decision about their based on that latest data, which is what we all knew before, and it's all a meeting of the Scottish Government's cabinet this morning just gone. They were also going to consider, and I think it's an indicated timetable for other pupils returning as well, and it also warned that it was unlikely that other lockdown restrictions would also start to be eased, with schools to the top priority as well. Okay, so she also said that it's really important, and that's seen as a trigger for people who are currently able to work from home to go back to work who can't really work. I mean, say if you're a builder, if you're a builder, you have to go to work. I mean, if you're, I don't know, if you're a social worker, my aunt, she's a social worker, so she can go to work. I mean, so if it's those sort of jobs you can't really do from home, I mean, you can't really look after children from home. Well, you can do. I mean, my mum's cousin, she's a childminder, so she does a lot of looking after kids from her house, so she does get tested quite regularly. And it was also often a risk factor around schools is not transmission inside schools. It's all the activity, apparently, that does take place around schools. Are we right there? I'm sure we're right there. But the First Minister also said that there would also be trade offers over the coming months as the country is out of this lockdown, with schools and care homes as well visiting. The kind of things we all focus on first, apparently, as we try to get things back to very normal. The MSPS will have the chance to question Mrs Sturgeon following a statement with opposition leaders pressing for more details on the government's future plans. And Scottish Conservative leader Douglas Ross said it was understandable that there were not specific dates set in stone for easing restrictions, but also said it was important ministers provided one of the roadmap out of this very lockdown. He also said that we need to know the triggers that will be in place for all school pupils to go back, for businesses to reopen as well, and we will all have the tired approach of a national approach as well. There's all the critical points of the businesses really need to be aware of so that we can all see our way out of this very strong big crisis. And there will be a time when everything will be alright, and there will be a normal time. There will be. But I just don't think there's ever going to be a time when no one's going to be wearing masks and stuff like that in shops. I think everyone's going to be sticking them on their faces forever and ever and ever. Scottish Green MSP Ross Gree said that there was no point in setting dates for lifting lockdown due to uncertainty about vaccine supplies and new variants. He also said that the government can do the list of policies that won't be bringing it in, and Education spokesman Ian Gray said that many supply teachers face financial hardship. John Sweeney is still to bring the supply teachers in from the cold and get them to work as well. Okay, let's leave that COVID story there because I want to talk about Anne Robinson, who's going to be replacing Nick Hewer on Countdown. Now, I have seen Countdown many times, and I think Nick Hewer now, he's at an age, he's brilliant, Nick Hewer, but he's at an age now where I think, it's about time he stepped down and had a bit of a rest. Now, Anne Robinson's going to become the game show's first female host in its 39-year history when she replaces Nick Hewer later on this year. She's 76 years old. She's presented so many programmes like The Weakest Link, of course, which I've seen many times, and Beyond Thrilled, and now she's joining Countdown as the presenter. She is also famous as old as the show is almost as old as I am, she said, and just as historic, she laughed. She said her appointment was announced on Monday's episode on Steph's Packed Lunch, which is on Channel 4 between the time of 12:30 and 2:10. Nick Hewer was very famous for hosting when he used to go on to The Apprentice. He used to be on The Apprentice, so we know who Nick Hewer is. I know Nick Hewer quite well, but he comes after it confirmed in December that he would be departing Countdown after a decade in the hot seat. He's been there for donkers years. Who was the last presenter before him? Do we know who the other presenter was? I can't remember who it was, but David something, wasn't it? No, I'll think of who it was. But in a series of tweets, he said that coronavirus lockdown had made him consider his career path. Now, Robson said that she was particularly excited to be working alongside the shows. Of course, there's Susie Dent, who works in the corner. There's also she's in the dictionary, and there's Rachel Riley as well, who we all know very well on that very programme as well. Three clever girls all do Countdown. Don't you love the sound of that? I mean, it sounds absolutely great, really, to have three people doing it. I mean, it sounds great. It sounds very good. I mean, it's better than having one man and two women, because I think that's very different now to have three women on lockdown. So it's going to be a women's show. How delightful! She also said I'm a crossword nut, so the Countdown's couldn't that I can make sense of, but adding up the taken away, she can't go much further from than working out. She said I'm slightly scared. She said she's scared of those brains, but she doesn't really think the three of us will transform things. And she said it will be Countdown that goes chick by it, she said. And she also responds to the news that Dent posted congratulations on Twitter as well. And she celebrated for the presence of the TV screens by fronting BBC shows Watchdog, of course, and Points of View during the 80s, 90s and noughties. But she also became perhaps most famous for her put-downs to contestants on The Weakest Link, which was posted from 2000 to 2012. And I think she brought it back a couple of times as well. I think they did bring it back. Was it that programme they brought back, or was it something else? It was something like that. But it also included the catchphrase, "You are the Weakest Link, goodbye," which said to each contestant as they were voted off each round. Now, discussing the iconic saying, Robinson told Steph's Packed Lunch that she is planning to tone down any nastiness, apparently. The catchphrase just came about on the pilot when she got really cheesed off. Chest off? Oh my god. I just said chest off. What is it with me, eh? Cheesed off was what she said. She also added the goodbye, and she also told the host, Steph McGovern, as well. How exciting is that? She said that these things, she said, are best developed just as they began. Robinson appeared on Countdown's Dictionary Corner for the Week in 1987 when the show was led by, of course, Richard Whiteley. That's his name, Richard Whiteley. She also recalled that she was in the way of great Richard Whiteley. She said, I think I only said good afternoon and goodbye before I'd have the chance to follow in his giant big fat footsteps. Jo Street, head of the daytime at Channel 4. She's Jo Street. Yeah, she's head of Channel 4 daytime, isn't it? She said, I'm a huge fan of Anne and her quick wit. She said, I'm extremely proud that this Fruzy, smart woman, she's going to be joining the show's host alongside brilliant Rachel Wiley and Susie Dent. And executive producer Peter Gwynn said that viewers will relish Anne's unique style at the helm of this much-loved instruction. Countdown was the first programme to be broadcast on Channel 4, and it has been aired since November 1982, making it one of the longest-running quiz shows in the world. Okay, we'll leave that story there. One more story then on the show. And we're talking Dancing on Ice now, and it's been taken off air apparently because apparently some people have been testing positive for COVID. So the decision follows the departure of Emma Dell actor Joe William Plant, as we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, after he got tested positive. And it was also announced that Jason Donovan would also not be completing the weekend due to a back pain. The show's going to be returning on the 28th of February and will be replaced this weekend by a one-off special featuring past highlights. Well, I never. What's all this about then? Oh, highlights. Okay. Now, Rufus Hound, the comedian, was also found to exit the show earlier this month after testing positive for COVID. This year's series has also been the departure of actress Denise Van Outen, who withdrew after particularly dislocating her shoulder during training. And reality TV star Billy Shepherd, who also injured herself